Becoming a parent represents one of the most profound commitments we can make in our lives, but it's also one of the most challenging responsibilities. Often we wish for our children to understand us, to learn from our mistakes, and to always be prepared to face the difficulties that life will inevitably throw their way. However, there are aspects of our personal history that, rather than providing them with clarity or strength, could harm them more than we imagine. And this is precisely where the wisdom of Stoicism offers us a crucial lesson. Not everything needs to be revealed. In this episode, we're going to explore 9 things you should never tell your children, drawing inspiration from the principles of great Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. Integrating this philosophy into our family relationships helps us understand that true control lies in how we manage our own emotions and what we choose to share with those around us, especially our children. At the end of the day, it's about walking alongside them on their journey without burdening them with our own worries or mistakes, and instead offering a clearer path, full of guidance and wisdom. If you've ever felt that your words have a deeper impact than you realize, stay with us until the end of this episode. These 9 teachings could transform the way you communicate with your children and forever change the relationship you have with them. If this is your first time in this space, I invite you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Join me as we discover how Stoic thinking can become a powerful tool for raising children with more calm, purpose, and balance. Let's begin. Number 1. Don't share your fears and insecurities, unfiltered with your children. It's completely natural for us as mothers or fathers to experience fears and insecurities, especially during difficult or uncertain times. However, what we often fail to consider is the impact that sharing those worries directly and without emotional filters can have on our children. When we reveal our fears without first processing them, we risk transferring an emotional burden they're not yet ready to handle. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded us of the importance of confronting our emotions without projecting them onto others, cultivating mastery over our internal reactions. Children, regardless of their age, tend to see their parents as pillars of security and trust. If we overflow with our insecurities without restraint, we can plant in them a sense of chaos or helplessness, making them feel like the world is out of control. It's essential they understand that everyone, even adults, goes through moments of doubt, but that it's possible to experience those moments with calm, without letting those emotions affect them directly. Acting with composure in the face of our own struggles provides them with a powerful example of how to navigate difficulties without surrendering to fear. This doesn't mean we should hide what we feel entirely. Instead, before opening up emotionally with them, it's key to reflect on what we're going to say and how we're going to say it, to make sure our words don't create anxiety or distress. Stoic wisdom reminds us that the only thing we truly control is how we react to what happens to us. That's why when a feeling of fear or insecurity arises, instead of sharing it impulsively, try first to understand it, manage it, and then share it with thoughtfulness. This approach not only protects your children's emotional balance but also offers them a life lesson: how to face their own fears with courage and self-control, instead of being swept away by the emotions of those around them. In conclusion, your children don't need to carry the weight of your insecurities. What they really need is to witness how you stay calm when everything seems uncertain. By preventing them from absorbing your distress, you provide a model of resilience, inner strength, and serenity, even when the outside world feels overwhelming. Number 2. Never use your past mistakes as an excuse to justify poor decisions in the present. It's a fact that all of us at some point make mistakes. Life is full of missteps, and it's precisely those falls that give us the opportunity to learn and grow. However, one of the most common mistakes we must avoid as parents is using our past errors as an excuse to justify current behaviors or poor decisions. Seneca taught us that we should not allow the weight of what we've experienced in the past to dictate our present or determine our future. When we tell our children that we continue to act poorly because we've always been this way, or that this is the life we were given, we are sending them the wrong message, that we are condemned by our own mistakes and that transformation is not possible. Imagine telling your child that a bad decision made today is simply a continuation of a past mistake. What message does that send? That change is pointless. That responsibility disappears when the pattern repeats. This mindset only feeds a victim mentality, one in which a person feels powerless in the face of their own actions. But the foundations of Stoicism remind us of something powerful. Every day is a new opportunity to improve. We always have the ability to make conscious choices, to break free from habits or cycles that harm us, and to take control of our decisions. Instead of hiding behind the past to explain our present choices, the most constructive thing we can do is share with our children what those experiences have taught us. We can speak honestly about the mistakes we've made, the lessons we've learned, and how those lessons have helped us make better choices in the present. This reinforces an essential message. We are not chained to our past mistakes. We have the ability to learn, correct our course, and grow. And that is a powerful lesson we can pass on to the next generation. Being honest about our mistakes, without using them as justifications, shows our children that change is possible. We teach them that making mistakes is part of the journey, but what truly matters is taking responsibility for our actions and avoiding falling into the same patterns over and over again. In this way, rather than feeling dominated by what's already happened, they will learn to make more conscious, wise, and values-aligned decisions. In summary, don't turn your past into an excuse. Use your present as a tool to show that it's always possible to redirect the path. Wrong decisions can become valuable lessons if we choose to face them with courage and a willingness to learn. Number 3, don't talk about your sacrifices expecting gratitude or recognition. It's understandable that as mothers or fathers we've made countless sacrifices over time for the well-being of our children. Over the years we've given up many things, postponed personal dreams, or taken on difficult burdens for their sake. However, it's essential that those sacrifices don't turn into a sort of emotional currency used to gain appreciation or approval. Epictetus reminded us that we should act rightly, not for the rewards it might bring us, but because it is the virtuous thing to do. When we talk to our children about all the efforts and sacrifices we've made, with the expectation of receiving gratitude or some form of recognition, we may unintentionally create a sense of guilt or emotional debt that isn't theirs to carry. Constantly reminding them of what we've given up on their behalf sends, even if indirectly, a silent message. You owe me, and I expect you to repay me in some way. This attitude not only creates emotional tension in the relationship, but also makes it difficult for them to feel genuine, free-flowing gratitude that comes from the heart. Instead of building a bond based on sincerity and genuine affection, a relationship tainted by obligation begins to form, one that over time may lead to deep resentment. According to the Stoic view, true sacrifice is born from virtue and selfless love, not from a need to be celebrated or rewarded. Seneca reflected on the importance of acting without expecting anything in return, because true fulfillment comes from knowing that we've done what's right. When we care for our children from a place of authentic devotion, we're teaching them the value of unconditional love, the kind that doesn't need to be repaid with words, praise, or forced gestures. Rather than focusing on what you haven't received in return, focus on the positive impact your efforts have had on your children's lives and the deep love you felt when making those decisions. When they perceive that you acted with sincere generosity, they're more likely to respond with honest gratitude that comes from understanding, not from pressure to repay something. At the end of the day, genuine love doesn't impose conditions. It doesn't demand tribute or require rewards. And when we stop chasing that external recognition, we discover something far more powerful, a relationship rooted in mutual respect and a real connection with our children. Freeing them from that emotional burden is also a lesson in itself, that love is not a transaction, but a gift given freely, without strings attached. In summary, don't remind your children of your sacrifices expecting something in return. Do it because it's the right thing to do, because it comes from love, and allow gratitude, if it comes, to emerge spontaneously and sincerely. That mindset will become the foundation of a stronger, more authentic, and lasting bond. Number 4, don't pass on your life frustrations to your children. At some point in our lives, we've all experienced frustration about the direction our life has taken. Maybe we didn't achieve certain dreams, or things simply didn't turn out the way we had imagined. However, one of the most common mistakes we make as parents is projecting those personal disappointments onto our children, infecting them with our own sense of dissatisfaction. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that life is as it is, not as we wish it to be, and that true inner peace comes from accepting reality as it is, without filling ourselves with bitterness over what is beyond our control. When we constantly share complaints with our children about what could have been or what we didn't accomplish, we are passing on a dark and limited view of the world. This attitude can lead them to believe that life is full of insurmountable obstacles or that they're destined to repeat our failures. Instead of inspiring them to pursue their goals, we plant doubts and fears that don't belong to them. Moreover, by doing this, we take away their chance to build their own perception of life. We're clouding their outlook with our negative experiences, instead of allowing them to explore the world through their own journey and perspective. Stoic philosophy teaches us that each human being is responsible for their own destiny. Epictetus said it is not external events that harm us, but the interpretation we choose to give them. Sharing this principle with our children helps them understand that even when they face difficulties, they always have the power to choose how they will respond. Rather than burdening their minds with our frustrations, we can offer a more constructive outlook, showing them that challenges can become opportunities for growth and that life's trials are part of the journey. This doesn't mean we should hide our experiences. We can share them, but from a place of reflection and learning, not from constant complaint or bitterness. Instead of regretting what you didn't achieve, why not tell them what those difficulties taught you? By doing so, you not only pass on wisdom, you also offer them inspiration. You show them that even if life doesn't always meet our expectations, there's always a lesson that can help us grow and find meaning in the experience. At the end of the day, what your children need to see most in you is an example of resilience, not surrender. They need to know that although life can be tough or unpredictable, they have the power to face it with courage, dignity, and determination. Avoiding the projection of your disappointments onto them gives them the freedom to write their own story, one that's not limited by the wounds of your past. In summary, your frustrations shouldn't become their burden. Teach them to face life with courage and hope. Show them, through your attitude, that while obstacles exist, there's always a path toward growth, inner strength, and purpose. Number 5, don't criticize other people or family members in front of your children. It's understandable that, in moments of tension or disagreement, we feel the need to express our emotions and release what we're holding inside. However, one of the most harmful mistakes we can make as parents is to speak negatively about other people, especially family members, in front of our children. Children, like teenagers, are extremely perceptive. They absorb far more than we imagine. Seneca warned us about the power of our words and urged us to use them wisely, as they can leave deep marks, stir up resentment, and create distrust in those who hear them. When we criticize someone, especially a close family member, we're creating an environment filled with negativity. We might think we're just sharing our opinion, but in reality, we're shaping the way our children view that person. If they hear constant negative comments about a relative, they'll begin to see them through the lens of our personal judgment, which can cause unnecessary tension in the family dynamic. Moreover, by doing so, we're teaching them by example that it's acceptable to judge others and speak badly about them behind their backs. This contradicts one of the core principles of Stoicism, virtue. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of treating others with respect, understanding, and dignity, even when we don't agree with their actions or ideas. Criticizing others in front of our children sends the opposite message, that it's okay to divide, wound, or discredit others instead of promoting understanding and unity. Instead of falling into criticism, We can transform those difficult moments into educational opportunities. We can teach them the importance of empathy, direct communication, and the ability to listen before judging. If we have a conflict with someone, the healthiest approach is to address it directly with that person, in private, not to air it in front of our children. And if the situation can't be avoided, we must be especially careful about how we express ourselves in their presence. The focus should be on finding solutions, not attacking the person involved. This not only teaches a lesson in respect, but also gives them a model for resolving their own conflicts in a healthy, constructive way. Teaching them that disagreements aren't an excuse for criticism, but a chance for growth, better prepares them for their own relationships and emotional challenges. In summary, avoid speaking badly about others in front of your children. Instead, show them the value of respect, empathy, and self-control. In doing so, you won't just shield them from the weight of negativity. You'll also foster a healthier, more harmonious family environment grounded in virtue and understanding. Number 6. Don't share marital or relationship problems with your children. Every long-term relationship, including marriage, goes through moments of harmony and also of difficulty. It's completely normal to experience arguments, differences, or tense situations with the person we share our lives with. However, one of the most delicate mistakes we can make as parents is to talk to our children about those problems. Even if we feel the need to vent or believe they have the right to know what's going on, doing so places an emotional burden on them that they're not meant to carry. Epictetus taught that true strength lies in our ability to face internal conflicts without spilling that tension onto others. This principle is even more critical when it comes to our children. By sharing our relationship struggles with them, we place them in a very difficult emotional position. They may begin to feel divided, confused, or even guilty about what's happening. Children, and even young adults, should never become judges or confidants in the tensions between their parents. Involving them in these situations takes away the sense of stability they need in their home environment. Instead of feeling protected and secure, they may start to see home as an unstable or tense place. Moreover, when we only share our version of events, we risk damaging the image they have of the other parent. If they're exposed to a one-sided narrative, they may develop feelings of resentment or anger toward one parent, which creates unnecessary divisions and emotional wounds. Marcus Aurelius placed great value on harmony in human relationships and encouraged resolving disagreements without disturbing the balance of our environment. In the family setting, this becomes even more important as our children's emotional well-being must be a top priority. The relationship between parents, even when the children are grown, remains a central pillar in their lives. That's why, even when there are struggles within the relationship, it's essential to show them that conflicts can be handled with respect, wisdom, and discretion. This doesn't mean pretending that everything is perfect or denying reality, but it does mean shielding our children from the distress that comes from being caught in the middle of conflicts that don't involve them. When tensions arise with your partner, the healthiest response is to address them in private, with emotional maturity and a willingness to find solutions. And if the conflict becomes too difficult to manage alone, seeking outside help, like couples therapy, is far more constructive than turning your children into unwilling recipients of your frustrations. What your children truly need to see is how adults face challenges with responsibility, balance, and composure. They don't need to be the outlet for our emotions. They need to witness how wisdom can prevail even in difficult moments. In summary, don't drag your children into your relationship issues. Protect them from the stress that can come with it, and show them, through your example, that problems can be addressed without destabilizing the family. In doing so, you're not only safeguarding their emotional health, but also passing on a powerful life lesson about how to handle challenges with dignity, maturity, and balance. Number 7. Don't speak negatively about the other parent, even if you're in conflict. When the relationship between parents becomes complicated, whether in a couple still living together or one that has decided to separate, one of the most damaging mistakes you can make is speaking badly about the other parent in front of your children. Even if disagreements exist and emotions are hurt, children should never witness or be caught in the middle of that hostility. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that even in the most difficult situations, we should strive for harmony. This teaching is especially important when it comes to protecting the emotional stability of our children. Discrediting, belittling, or criticizing your child's mother or father in front of them places the child in an emotionally unbearable position. By nature, children maintain a deep emotional bond with both parents, and when one of them makes negative judgments about the other, the child or teen feels unconsciously forced to choose a side. This is not only unfair, but it can also create deep emotional confusion, feelings of guilt, and potentially damage their relationship with one of the parents, a bond that is essential to their emotional and psychological development. Instead of letting your frustration show in front of your children, it's far better to manage the conflict privately and try to maintain a respectful and balanced attitude in their presence. Seneca said that what we need in life is not endless wars, but serenity. And while we may not always be able to avoid conflict with the other parent, we do have the power to choose how we respond to it. Applying Stoic wisdom means holding back resentment and not letting it spill over onto those who shouldn't carry it. Your child has the right to love and build a relationship with both parents, free of guilt or pressure. Every time you speak badly about the other parent, you're forcing your child to question their loyalty and love for that person, which can leave deep emotional scars that may take years to heal. It's crucial to remember that your child's relationship with their mother or father is separate from your own. Protecting that bond is a way of caring for your child's well-being. Furthermore, when you show respect toward the other parent, even during conflict, you're giving your child a powerful lesson that it's possible to go through disagreements without losing your composure, without resorting to contempt or bitterness. That example of emotional maturity is one of the most powerful legacies you can offer. It will serve as a model for them to handle their own conflicts throughout life, without falling into resentment or negativity. In summary, avoid discrediting the other parent in front of your children, even when real tensions exist. Protect their emotional stability and show them, through your behavior, the importance of respect, self-control, and peaceful coexistence. By doing so, you'll be strengthening your relationship with them through love, not through conflict. Number 8. Don't share financial details with your children that might cause them worry. Money is, without a doubt, one of the main sources of stress in many families. And when we go through tough financial times, it's understandable to feel the urge to vent or seek emotional support. However, involving children in the financial tensions of the household can place an emotional burden on them that they are not meant to carry. Seneca reminded us that true wealth doesn't lie in material possessions, but in inner peace. And it's precisely that peace we must protect in our children, by shielding them from worries they are not yet equipped to handle. Speaking openly to them about things like late bill payments, growing debt, or the fear of not making it to the end of the month can trigger anxiety, confusion, and a sense of insecurity. This can affect not only small children but also teens and young adults. Hearing about financial instability might lead them to imagine worst-case scenarios, from wondering if there will be enough money for essentials to feeling they might have to take on responsibilities that shouldn't be theirs. Children need to feel a sense of stability, especially when it comes to home, food, and overall family well-being. While it's true that they should eventually learn about personal finances and responsible money management, that education should come from a place of awareness and understanding, not from emotional pressure or distress. Sharing too many unfiltered details about financial struggles can create a sense of uncertainty that affects their emotional state. That doesn't mean we need to deny or sugarcoat reality, but rather that we should approach it with sensitivity and balance. If there comes a time when they need to be part of decisions such as cutting expenses or adjusting family habits, it should be done in a way that doesn't instill fear or make them feel responsible for the problem. Their participation should be about collaboration, not the weight of worry. Epictetus taught that the only thing we truly control is our attitude toward external circumstances, and that includes how we face financial challenges. Instead of focusing solely on the hardships, You can turn these situations into opportunities to teach core values: the importance of saving, responsible spending, financial balance, and the value of living with what's truly necessary. It is possible to talk about money with your children, but from a place of calm and through your own example. Showing them how to make responsible decisions without allowing money to become a constant source of stress will give them powerful tools for adult life. At the end of the day, your children don't need to know every number or debt. What truly benefits them is seeing in you a model of calm and responsibility in the face of adversity. That attitude not only protects them emotionally, but also gives them an invaluable lesson on how to relate to money in a healthy, fearless, and wise way. In summary, avoid exposing your children to unnecessary financial stress. Teach them the value of money and financial responsibility, but without transferring the anxiety these topics can bring. In doing so, you'll be giving them a solid emotional foundation and helping them face life's challenges with balance and confidence. Number 9. Don't share your regrets about major life decisions with your children. Throughout our lives, we all make decisions that, over time, we may wish we had approached differently. It might be a career path we didn't pursue, a place we chose to settle in, or a relationship that didn't unfold the way we had hoped. However, one of the most delicate mistakes we can make as parents is sharing our regrets in a way that makes our children believe life is filled with nothing but poor choices. Epictetus reminded us that what truly matters is not to dwell on the past, but to accept the present as it is. That's exactly the lesson we should pass on to our children. That strength lies not in looking back with sorrow, but in embracing each stage of life with wisdom and courage. When we tell them that certain decisions we made were unforgivable mistakes, we risk making them believe that any choice they make will inevitably lead to regret. These kinds of messages can trigger a deep fear of decision-making, as they may become afraid of making mistakes or carrying future guilt. What our children really need to know is that every decision, whether right or wrong, has something to teach us. Every step, even the ones that seem like failures, are part of the journey that transforms and helps us grow. If we only share the negative side of our experiences, we may unintentionally create unnecessary pressure. If they sense that their parents view their own lives through the lens of regret, they might conclude that they must avoid making mistakes at all costs. This emotional burden can leave them paralyzed when it comes to making their own choices. On the other hand, if we approach our stories from a Stoic perspective, we can teach them that every choice carries value and that even when things don't go as planned, there's always something to learn and a new direction to take. The key is in reframing the narrative. Instead of saying, "I regret not doing this," we can say, "That decision, though difficult, taught me something essential about myself." In this way, we show them that life isn't a sequence of mistakes to avoid, but a collection of experiences that enrich our journey, even when the outcomes differ from what we expected. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the importance of accepting the flow of events with calm, without wishing things had been different. That kind of deep acceptance frees us from the weight of regret and allows us to live and enjoy the present fully. That's the wisdom we should pass on to our children. It doesn't matter if a decision was hard or if we now see it as a mistake. What matters most is how we choose to learn from it and move forward. What your children need isn't a list of things you wish you had done differently, but the confidence that no matter which path they choose, they can grow, adapt, and continue on with their heads held high. Don't project your regrets onto them. Instead, share the wisdom those experiences gave you and how each one helped shape the person you are today. In summary, don't pass on your regrets as warnings. Teach your children that every decision, both good and bad, can carry a valuable lesson. That way, you help them face life with confidence, knowing it's always possible to learn, grow, and course correct. Being mindful of what we share with our children is one of the deepest acts of love and awareness we can offer them. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or hiding the truth, but about protecting them from unnecessary emotional weight and guiding them toward a life that's clearer, more conscious, and more peaceful. Stoic philosophy reminds us that our words and how we express them leave a lasting imprint, And by applying these teachings, we show them the path to inner strength, emotional balance, and respect for their own choices. Remember that every conversation with your children is an opportunity to strengthen them, not to weaken them. Protect their hearts and minds, and offer them the best of your life experience, but without imposing your fears or guilt. Because in the end, what they need most isn't to know what could have been, but how they can face what is to come with courage and calm. If this is your first time here, I invite you to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming topics we'll be sharing. And if you made it to the end of this episode, that shows you're truly committed to your personal growth and your family's too. And that deserves recognition. Let me know you're here by commenting the phrase, "I am Stoic," and tell me where in the world you're listening from. I'd love to know who's walking this path of transformation with me. And don't leave without sharing this episode with someone who needs it. Maybe there's someone in your life who needs to hear these words and discover a new way to see their own challenges. Sometimes a simple piece of advice can have a huge impact. See you in the next episode.